Before we jump into today's video, I'd like to thank SmallRig for sponsoring this video and sending over 3 accessories for the DJI Osmo Action 6. They sent me their dedicated street photography cage, the ND filter kit, and also this compact storage bag. I've been using all 3 over the past few days, but the accessory I've spent the most time with is definitely the street photography cage, so let's start with that. When I first saw it, I honestly thought it was just another protective cage. But after using it, I realized it's actually designed to completely change the shooting experience, rather than simply protecting the camera. Normally, action cameras are made to be as small as possible. That's great for mounting them on helmets, bikes, or drones, but when you're using them handheld for travel or street videography, that tiny size isn't always the most comfortable. You end up pinching the camera between your fingers, and after a while it can become tiring. This cage solves that problem in a really clever way. Once the Action 6 is installed, it suddenly feels much closer to holding a compact camera instead of a tiny action camera. The grip is much more natural, much more secure, and much more comfortable, especially during longer shooting sessions. One thing I really appreciate is the build quality. It's made from aluminum alloy, so it feels incredibly solid without becoming excessively heavy. Everything fits tightly, there are no loose parts, and once the camera is locked in, it feels very secure. It gives you confidence when you're walking around filming, because you know your camera is properly protected. To really test it, I took it out into the streets of Wuhan, China, and spent a few hours just walking around filming different scenes. Honestly, I enjoyed using this setup much more than I expected. The larger grip makes such a noticeable difference. Instead of constantly adjusting my fingers, I could simply hold it naturally like a small street photography camera. That means I could react much faster whenever I noticed an interesting scene or someone walking by. I also think the overall design deserves some credit. SmallRig didn't just make a metal box around the camera. They gave it a very clean retro-inspired look with a matte black finish and silver accents. Combined with the grip, it almost looks like a miniature vintage camera, which I personally think looks fantastic. It's one of those accessories that actually changes the character of the Action 6. Instead of looking like a typical action camera, it feels more like a compact, everyday camera that you actually want to carry around. While filming in Wuhan, I also noticed something interesting. Because the camera looks different, people don't immediately recognize it as an action camera. It feels much more discreet for street shooting, and that makes filming everyday life feel much more natural. Another thing I like is the grip itself. It has a comfortable textured surface that gives you a secure hold, even when you're walking around for a long time. After several hours of shooting, I never felt like I needed to constantly reposition my hand. If you're someone who enjoys travel videos, city walks, cinematic B-roll, or even daily vlogs, I think you'll appreciate this much more than people who only use their action camera for sports. The cage also adds a dedicated shutter button right where your index finger naturally rests, so taking photos or starting video recording feels very responsive and comfortable. It's one of those small details that makes the whole setup feel much more like a traditional camera. Another feature I really like is the built-in battery compartment inside the grip. Instead of carrying an extra battery separately in your pocket, you can simply store one inside the handle, which is surprisingly convenient when you're traveling all day. SmallRig also added multiple mounting options. There are standard 1/4 inch threaded holes along with a cold shoe mount, so if you want to add a microphone, a small LED light, or mount the camera onto a tripod or selfie stick, everything becomes very straightforward. Instead of buying multiple accessories, this single cage already gives you a lot of flexibility. Protection is another obvious advantage. Even though the Action 6 is already a durable camera, accidents can still happen. Whether you're traveling, filming in crowded places, or just putting it in and out of your backpack throughout the day, having this aluminum frame around the camera definitely gives some extra peace of mind. Overall, after using it for several days, I genuinely think this accessory changes how enjoyable the Action 6 is to use. It doesn't improve the image quality because the camera already does that on its own, but it makes you want to pick up the camera more often because the whole experience simply feels better. Speaking of image quality, I was reminded once again why the Action 6 is still such a capable camera. The stabilization is excellent, colors look great straight out of the camera, and because it's so compact, you can capture natural moments without attracting too much attention. Walking through the streets of Wuhan with this setup was actually a really enjoyable experience, and I ended up getting some shots that I probably wouldn't have captured with a much larger camera. Now let's move on to the ND filter kit. If you enjoy shooting outdoors, ND filters are one of those accessories that make a genuine difference. Instead of forcing the camera to use extremely fast shutter speeds in bright sunlight, they let you keep a more cinematic shutter speed, giving your footage smoother and more natural-looking motion. This kit includes ND8, ND16, and ND32 filters, along with a CPL filter, a UV filter, and even a quarter black mist filter if you want a softer, more cinematic look. The filters simply snap onto the camera without needing to remove the lens cover, which makes changing them really quick while you're out filming. SmallRig also includes a silicone lens cover to help protect the filters during transport. Finally, let's talk about the storage bag. This might be the simplest accessory here, but it's probably the one you'll end up using every single day. Instead of throwing your camera, batteries, filters, and cables into different pockets of your backpack, everything stays organized in one compact case. The outer shell feels durable and splash resistant, while the inside is soft and shock absorbing to better protect your gear. It also uses waterproof dual zippers and dedicated compartments, so everything has its own place. It's compact enough to carry around every day without taking up much space, but still large enough for an Action 6 setup and the accessories you'll normally bring with you. Overall, if I had to pick just one of these accessories, it would definitely be the street photography cage. It completely changes the way the DJI Action 6 feels in your hand and makes handheld shooting much more enjoyable. The ND filter kit helps you get more cinematic footage outdoors, and the storage bag keeps everything organized and protected while you're traveling. If you'd like to check out any of these accessories, I'll leave links down in the description below. Thanks again to SmallRig for sponsoring this video,